This is homework set 8 on formulas. We're going to look at questions 6 through 10. And this first problem here, we want to solve this for y. So here's y. We've got fractions. So we know what to do here. We're going to get the LCD. Now the smallest number that both 4 and 3 divide into is 12. Right? 4 goes into 12, 3 goes into 12. So let's use 12. And then what we'll do is we'll write that 12 alongside each of the originals. That will eliminate the denominators. Essentially what we're doing is multiplying both sides by the LCD and then using the distributive property to get here. But we're just saving a step. So we're going to get 12 times x over 4 minus 12 times y over 3 equals 12 times 1. Well, let me write it like this. That looks silly. 12 times 1. Now, on the left side, what happens here? 4 will go into 12 3 times, and then I'm left with 3 times x. How about 3x? Minus, now over here, 3 will go into 12 4 times, and now I'm left with 4 times y. How about 4y? Equals 12 times 1 is 12. We're close. Let's eliminate this 3x. I'll subtract it. So I'll get negative 4y is equal to negative 3x plus 12. Now let's divide by that negative 4. It'll look like this. Y equals negative 3 over negative 4x plus 12 over negative 4. And on the left side, negative over negative is positive. I can't reduce, so I'll just write y equals 3/4 x. And then think of it this way. Positive 12 divided by negative 4 is negative 3. There we go. Question 7 says that 720 is 12% of what number? Now, and when I see questions like this, I'm going to read left to right and write what I read. So 720 is 12%, change it to a decimal, of times what number? X. So here's what I've got. I've got 720 equals 0.12x. We can get this if we just divide by 0.12. So I'll get 720 divided by 0.12. That's equal to x. Now if you want to use a calculator, that's great. And you'll get 600 is equal to x. Or you could think of it this way, if you know this, that 12 will go into 72 6 times, but you have to move that decimal point over twice, so you have to add 2 zeros. Anyway, you get 600. Now, this is not the answer, right? The answer, we're close, but this is not the answer. Here's the question. The question is, 720 is what percent of what number? All right, I'm going to say the number is 600. Okay, either write the whole sentence or just write the 600. But the answer is not 6x is equal to 600. Somebody says, what is the number? You don't say x equals 600. You just say 600. Looks like a geometry problem here, doesn't it? It says the volume of a cylinder. Now here's a cylinder. I'm just going to draw a cylinder. Cylinder looks like this. Here's the radius of the cylinder, usually r. Here's the height of the cylinder, usually h. So what we've got is this. The volume of a cylinder is given by this formula right here. V is equal to pi r squared h. So that's the volume of a cylinder. So the volume is pi times the square of the radius times the height. So that's the formula for the volume of a cylinder. Now what we want to do is find the height if the volume is 21 cubic feet and the radius is 7 over 22 feet, and pi we're going to use as 22.7, which is about 3.14. So let's substitute. We will get V. Now we're given that V is equal to 21. Now I'm not going to write the units here. I'll just write the numbers. 21 is equal to pi. Oh, we're given pi here, right? We're going to use 22/7 times r Now the radius is 7 over 22, but I'm going to square that. So parentheses, 7 over 22 squared. How nice, just a nice number for us here, times h. Now here's what we'll get. 21 is equal to 22 over 7 times, now I'm going to write this as 7 squared over 22 squared h. And here's what happens. Here's why I wrote it like that. I'll get 21 is equal to, this 22 will cancel with one of those, and this, two of those, I got two 7s on top. One of them will cancel with this one. So here's what I'm left with now. A 7 on top, a 22 on the bottom, equal to h. Now, we can solve for h. Multiply by 27. I'll get 21 times 27 is equal to 7. That's h. And 21 times 27 divided by, now divide by that number. So I'll get 21 times 27 over 7. That's h. And my calculator, here's what I'm going to do. 21 times 27. Divide that by 7. I get this. H is equal to 66. But h equals 66 is not the answer. The answer is 66 feet. Now, you may prefer to do it this way here. I'll just go up here and write what I have. Here's what I have so far. I'm going to write this one. I'm going to come down and I'm going to write it here. In case you don't like this, because we haven't really gotten to it yet, I'm going to write 21 is equal to 22 over 7 times, now, 7 over 22 squared is 7 over 22 times 7 over 22, which is 7 times 7 is 49. 22 times 22 is 484 h. And now what you can do is you can multiply here. So we'll get 21 is equal to, now 22, I'm doing my calculator too, 22 times 49 is 1078 over 7 times 484. 3388 h. Now, multiply by that 3388. It'll look like this. 21 times 3388 is equal to, if I multiply the right side, they cancel, and I get 1078h. Now, if you want, you can multiply here now. So I'll get 21 times 3388. That is 71148. 71148. That's equal to 1078h. And now divide. So I'll get 71148 divided by 1078. That's h. So all in all, h comes out to, now let me just check this. So I'm going to divide that by, better be 66. 1078, yep, sure enough, 66. So there's our 66 feet. Do it either way. Now question number 9 is another volume of a cylinder problem, but this time we're going to use pi to be, we're going to represent it, approximate it as 3.14 instead of 22 over 7. So again, the volume of a cylinder is V equals pi r squared h. And we want to find h if the volume is, okay, so here's what we're trying to do. I want to find h when what? Volume is 15.7 and r is equal to 2, and pi we're going to approximate with 3.14. Let's put these numbers in. Substitute them in and we will get this. 15.7 is equal to pi 3.14 times r squared. Now r is 2, so 2 squared times h. Okay, so let's do this. We'll get 15.7 equals 3.14. Now 2 squared is 4 times h. Now, if I multiply this by 4, I'm going to get that 15.7 is equal to 12.56 H. And now we'll divide. So I'll get 15.7 divided by 12.56. That's H. So I'm going to do this on my calculator. Oh, how nice. H comes out to be 1.25. So the question is, find the height. Now this, I'm not going to write that for the answer. The height is going to be 1.25, and the units that we're using here are feet. Now, question 10, our last problem or question in this set, says to solve for the indicated variable. Now, the variable is h. There's only one h, it's right here. Now, here's the formula. A is equal to pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. And just if you're curious, this happens to be the surface area, not the volume, but the surface area of a right circular cylinder. In other words, like a can. All right, so I want to solve this for h. So why don't we start by, I'm going to rewrite the equation. I just like to do that. A is equal to pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. Now, let's start here. Let's subtract, there's no h here, so subtract that. I'll get a minus pi r squared. That's equal to 2 pi r h. Now I'm solving for h. That 2 pi r is all a multiplication. It's just one number. Let's just divide. So I'm going to divide by that. So it'll look like this. Now, two ways to do this. I could divide the entire side, and divide that entire side by that. So I'll get a minus pi r squared all over 2 pi r. That's equal to h. Or I could divide each individual term, getting this. A over 2 pi r minus pi r squared over 2 pi r. And if I do it this way, I can cancel a little bit. We haven't gotten into this yet, but we'll see. Maybe you know it already. I've got two r's on top, right? Look up here. R squared is r times r. One r on the bottom. One of those r's is going to cancel. So like that r might cancel with that r. And then I'm left with this. This is all h. So I'm left with a over 2 pi r minus pi r over, I just saw that. Those pi's cancel too. So let me get rid of this now. Those pi's cancel. So what I'm left with, r over 2. I'm just left with an r over 2. That's equal to h. Now, which way is the book asking us to do this? They're probably asking us to do it this way because we haven't really gotten into this idea here yet. So here's a good answer. That finishes off all the questions from our homework set 8.